I was like Dory. I used to joke about it. It's like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like, and just like not remembering so many things. So I would like start over again and again and again, and
might not 100% be true. And then when that's cast as a memory, and when that memory becomes a belief, and now we're acting in our current life as if that's true, then your entire future is now misguided. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
And this is Emilia.
Welcome to another episode of Evolve Ventures, where we are helping growth-minded humans evolve by breaking one limiting belief at a time. We hope you enjoyed the last episode, 217, Motivation Monday, how to do more things you actually enjoy. For today, 218, are you in control or is your past? For the majority of the world, and that's not a blanket, it's not me trying to make a blanket statement, it's based on the data and the facts. The majority of us are not, we don't feel in control of our lives. Most of us feel like the external world and every situation around us and all of the people around us have a really big hand in our life, meaning that they control our life way more than we want. And the kind of crappy thing is that even more than that, the thing that impacts our life and has a huge toll on us is actually nothing that's happening right now. And it's the thoughts and emotions and the memories of our past. Every single thing that you experience today goes through this filter of memories, this filter of ideas and core beliefs and understandings that we have about ourselves, about the world, and about other people. And what we're going to be talking about today is, number one, what is the impact that has? And number two, how do you actually start getting out of that and gaining more control of your life? So those are the two things that we are going to help every single one of you with today.
So for our new listeners, welcome. For our evolved listeners, those of you who have been with us since the beginning or joined us in kind of the navigating along the way, we're so welcome to have, or we're so excited, and we welcome you. We're excited to have you in the journey. And you know, for anyone who has been listening to our podcast and allowed us to join them in their journey, I have vulnerably shared how I have struggled very much when it comes to memory. And I had experienced trauma growing up, and as a result, my brain was like, we're not going to remember this. And I am playful with it now. And I also hold the duality that brought a lot of challenges to me growing up. I struggled to really remember all of my childhood experiences. I struggled to remember what day it was. I struggled to remember what I was doing in 10 minutes. I struggled to remember where objects would be. I struggled a lot with this memory. And so after having a compound effect of essentially 25-ish years of my memory, just what I assigned the meaning to it be, just failing me, I found a way to look at the upside of that. So though I didn't necessarily feel in control of my memory, that was something that I believe after not having it, we oftentimes take for granted, where for a lot of us that do have those memories, the thoughts and emotions that we do have rooted in past memories actually hold us back. For me, the upside, the silver lining of a lot of my memory issues was that I didn't have a ton of things rooted in the past. I was like Dory. I used to joke about it. It's like Like, where are we
Dory.
going? What are we doing? Like, and just like not remembering so many things. So I would like start over again and again and again. And I would just always have a really positive like I would say attitude about things. And so what I learned through my challenge is that the majority of us, yeah, we struggle with memory here and there, but certainly not to the chronic issues that I had. And some of you might have kind of experienced that and gone through your own version of that. But here's what I wanted to pull into the episode. When you don't feel like you are in control, there are so many different reactions we can have. We can really look at that as being a great thing, and we can kind of put our hands up and say kind of Jesus take the wheel, like Carrie Underwood's song. And we can kind of just go with the flow. Some of us really fight for bringing that control back into our life, where it's taking accountability to your actions, taking responsibility for the outcomes that your efforts plug into. Or we kind of just never acknowledge it and we run away from everything that feels out of our control. And so what I learned, again, kind of in this experience, in my experience, is that very few of us are making a conscious, intentional effort to let things go. Not to let it go and run away from our past, not to not remember the challenging times, not to let the things that are currently holding us back continue to hold us back, but rather to evolve what it means to us, to work through the tough things that we've been through. All of us are going to go through tough times. All of us are going to experience challenge, adversity, things that aren't going to go our way. And it's, do we push it down? Do we run away from it? Do we never actually face it? How are you responding to that? Because oftentimes what I found is so few of us are evolving what experiences we have mean to us. And as a result, we're pushing more of that into the out of control bucket. And we start to do that again and again. And we start to feel less and less and less control in our lives. And that feeling always ends up being tied back to people's pasts and how they haven't processed through them and how they haven't worked through them. And that is where all the glory and all the gold can be.
And this isn't because you're doing something wrong. This is actually the way that our brains work. Our brain is meant to capture memories and ideas and beliefs about our past so that it can predict and control. Mm-hmm. That is the sole function of our brain. It's prediction and control and keeping your body regulated and safe. And so one of the ways to do that is, oh, this looks like something from the past. Let me remember that so that if this ever comes up again, I know what to do. The challenge is we're remembering things and we're interpreting things from a false lens. We're interpreting and making meaning of things that might not 100% be true. And then when that's cast as a memory, and when that memory becomes a belief, and now we're acting in our current life as if that's true, then your entire future is now misguided. One of those for me really was that I'm unlovable. It's like I had all of these memories from my past, and I had all of these stories and all of these ideas that back then were not true. And they weren't true back then, but it carried with me throughout my life so that it just got like added on and added on and added on until that core belief was just so ingrained that it didn't matter what was happening. That's just what got triggered. And so what I've had to do is really intentionally pay attention and be mindful to, I'm having a feeling of unlovability come up. I'm having these thoughts and these emotions and my body. Oh my God, the sensations that are coming up. This is brutal. Is this because of what's actually happening now, or am I making a meaning because I already believe this thing? and this kind of looks like that, smells like that, tastes like that, walks like a duck, right? It like, so we're all doing this.
Hey everybody, I just want to take a minute to talk about my experience with the Evolve Venture Society. They are a wonderful group of people who allow you to communicate in an open and honest way, and they're very supportive and full of positive energy. You can ask anyone for help. You can talk to anyone and ask for questions, and they're very supportive, and all they do is just help you to become the best version of yourself. And if anything, all I want to do is just learn more from this amazing group of people, and I think that they will help anybody who needs it, and that's the best thing that anybody can ask for.
Something that you can start to do today is start just learning to identify those thoughts and emotions when they come up. When Emilia gave a really good example in group coaching last week. Let's say it's your birthday. Who calls and who doesn't? And what are the thoughts that come up? And what are the emotions that come up? And what is that bringing for you? What is that triggering? Is it triggering all the thoughts of I'm not wanted, I'm not loved, people don't care about me? If so, it might be important to jot that down. And in the other parts of your life, in the other days, this is how you start to really do this work. You have to, number one, identify and notice what is actually coming up. And then once you have enough information about what's coming up, then you can start to do the work on transforming and evolving that. And that's exactly what Emilia and I do for a living, is helping people to do that. That's what we love doing. It's our favorite thing to do. So if you find yourself really struggling with this and you know that you're being impacted still by your past, reach out. You don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to suffer this.
There are so many powerful opportunities for you on the other side of realizing that your past is controlling you. The meaning that's assigned to your past, and thus what you haven't processed through that happened in the past. So I find a direct correlation between your or people's feelings of control and their ability to process through what the meaning is or it was, and really see that there's a little bit of greener grass on the other side where they can evolve what that meaning of the past meant. They can process through that, and it opens them up to more empowerment, more confidence, more feelings of like hope. And that is something that is so powerful in the people that I've seen really transform in this regard. It brings more hope into the world. And I know that that's what the world needs so much more of. So I'm really excited for our listeners to kind of begin to reflect upon this. Are you in control, or do you really feel as though it's the past memories, the past stories, the past behaviors? And to kind of close this episode, one thing that you had mentioned was when you feel like you have enough, you can really start to kind of look at your patterns and evolve. Some people might ask, what is enough? When do you know when you've had enough of that self-observation to really start to be like, this is the evidence. Now I can bring this to the table. Now I can start to evolve. I can start to change. I can start to rewire and develop a different narrative that will serve me for the future. Honestly, what I've found is that if it happens more than twice in a very similar way, you have a pattern going on. If it happened once, okay. If it happened twice, interesting. If it happened 3 times, okay, that's definitely between 2 and 3 is typically enough for some people to really start to make effective change.
And are you noticing it in multiple areas of your life?
Right.
So if unlovability is coming up at work, meaning people don't like me, if it's coming up with family and in your intimate relationships and with friends and the and.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need crazy amounts of information. We usually can see patterns.
Definitely. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's there's a pattern, there's something that you have the ability right there in front of you to recognize that you don't feel control, And that's where you can get started.
And
Alrighty.
what is your...
Yep, we are
my goodness.
double dipping the audio here. All right, so my episode suggestion for our listeners is number 200. What does rejection mean about you? And the reason why I selected that one is because oftentimes rejection, what I've observed in my coaching and observing human beings my entire life, what meaning we assign to rejection typically is one of those feelings that like has us directly connected to feeling out of control. If we feel rejected, let's say, for example, we're in the dating game, we're singles, right? And we're conscious singles and we're going through the dating world and we, maybe get stood up for a coffee date or a FaceTime or a text or whatever, you get ghosted, right? Like, what does that rejection, does it mean rejection in your world or does it mean redirection? What does that mean about you? And when we can look and reflect upon those narratives, I believe that those typically get directed towards people's past and what lovability typically, they have about themselves. Your final takeaway and episode suggestion?
My final takeaway is going to be a Tony Robbins quote. Your past does not equal your future. And this is now me saying this. If you allow yourself to do the kind of challenging work of identifying your past, you can actually have more of a hand at creating your future. Episode suggestion 168 is your past determining your future. So we actually did an episode on this where we dove super deep into it. So if you want more information about that, head on over to that one.
Head on over. I want to read to everyone that is listening a beautiful sentiment that one of our community members, one of our listeners, shared with the public, which we are so grateful to have this. It is, I appreciate the candor and simplicity of Emilia and Bianca when they discuss complex ideas. Definitely a podcast to keep in the back of your pocket. Thanks, ladies. This was a 5-star review from one of our listeners that is titled Worth the Time. Honestly, thank you so much to the listener that took the time to leave us a review. This is so humbling when we hear the words of how we resonate with our audience because we put our heart and soul into this stuff. And sometimes it might feel like, is anyone alive out there? Because we're all just experiencing our lives. And sometimes, that feedback, it just does absolutely everything to continue to fuel that why power that all of us have at really bringing some of the most powerful topics to light that no one maybe ever talks about. And I want to say thank you to our listener for providing that review that will help so many other people see what Evolve Ventures is in the world and how, more importantly, how it can impact them in their life, in their time of need during their Evolve journey. And that just goes such a long way with so many people. So thank you to that listener. And if you have resonated with this podcast at any point in the journey, we would love to hear how that's resonated with you. Not for us, but so that someone who is seeking exactly what you have maybe stumbled upon can start to bring themselves to that evolving journey as well. So your words are so powerful and your voice is so powerful. That's one of the things that I've learned in podcasting. I know you and I, Bianca, having been listened around the world through so many different countries and being a top 200 podcast, just hearing how our voice, which is the collection of our community, can impact people's lives. It's just so powerful. So our listeners, our community members, those of us who are allowing us in your journey, if you could share some of those words of how this podcast has resonated with you in a review, we would love to hear that so that it can get in front of those people who are seeking that.
Thank you all so much. And we will see you next time.
Bye everyone.
Everybody.